All right, guys, so you're gonna see we have some mobility activities to do after a few different days of training. So we're gonna walk through some of them with Carter here. So to start, he's gonna go from an inchworm into a seal into a downward dog. So you see he starts feet about shoulder width apart. He's gonna walk his hands down to the ground, walk out all the way in front, drop his hips down into the seal. He's gonna hold that for about 5 or 6 seconds. He's gonna start to walk back, and then as he does that, drops his heels to the ground and pushes his head through. So he pushes his head all the way through to stretch out that lower back as well. After about 5 or 6 seconds, now he'll walk his hands back up and re-stand up. That's one. He's gonna do 10 rounds of that, okay? So he's gonna go into inchworm seal, into downward dog, and then standing up. After those 10 sets, he's gonna drop down into the night stretch. So he's gonna drop down onto one foot, right? His foot out in front, chest up nice and big, rotating his hips forward. So he feels that through his hip flexor stretch here. He's gonna hold this for about 10 seconds, and then he'll rock back, bring his foot out in front, and he'll get the hamstring. So notice his hamstring is straight. Keep your chest up nice and tall still for me, right? And his toe is up in the air. He'll hold that for about 10 seconds. Then he'll go back into the night stretch. So leg comes back out in front, leans forward, activating that hip flexor. So he's gonna go through a series from both hip flexor, night stretch into the hamstring, and then eventually he'll switch sides. After that one, he's gonna drop down into the world's greatest stretch, okay? So as you can see here, his back foot is gonna be extended all the way out. His other left foot in front, his right arm drops down. From there, he's gonna take his left arm, touch the floor, and reach up high and hold for about 5 or 6 seconds. So notice he's holding it 5 or 6 seconds, then he drops to the other one. Show us the other leg, please, Carter. He'll switch legs, drives that foot way out in front, okay? Flattens out that back leg, and then he brings that arm up and across and really opening it up. So again, during this mobility part, we're really trying to open up all those areas that we just worked and increase our flexibility, both from a strength, speed, and injury prevention perspective. Then he's gonna drop down onto the ground. He's gonna do his 90-90 hip mobility activities. So he's gonna start on the ground, hips are out in front, toes are in the air. There's 2 ways to do this. Ideally more advanced, without our hands, we're gonna rotate to one side. We make a 90-degree with both legs, and then we rotate back to the other side, right? So again, we're strengthening those hip flexors, the groins into there. If that's too difficult, drop your hands to the side, and again, we rotate from there, keeping the hands down, getting the knee all the way across, so we're increasing that hip mobility. Then we're gonna come into the reverse Nordic. So he's gonna come up onto his knees, right? There's two or three different ways to do this. If it's too difficult, we're gonna show you how Carter's gonna do it first, right? He's gonna come all the way back as far as he can without his hands, and then he's gonna drive back up. That's one. He's gonna do 10 of those. If that's too difficult, he can also put his toes up here, so it shortens the range of motion, right? So he's not going back as far. If that's still too difficult, he can come into here and just drop his hips back and then come back up to there. Okay, so show us a few more of the reverse Nordic from there. So he's gonna go back as far as he can, right? He shouldn't feel any pain, but he should feel that he's using his hamstrings, his hip flexors to help pull him up, because it's mobility, but it's also strengthening those parts of the bodies. Then he's gonna go into a pigeon stretch. So he's gonna drop down in front, drop that front leg, chest nice and high, okay? Stand up nice and high with your chest, there you go, right? And he feels that all through the glute, all through the side, the IT band as well. Go ahead and switch legs for us. So he really fights to get that leg up as high as he can and holds it in. As he gets more flexible, he can even drop to his elbows, right into there, and it increases the stretch as he goes. From there, he's gonna go into the frog stretch. So his knees are gonna come out wider, hips are gonna drop down, okay, toes just out to the side. Yeah, and then he's gonna rock back to a point that he feels the stretch and hold there. And again, he'll hold that in for the allotted time for each of those activities. Last 2 he's gonna come into, he's gonna work on his ankle drive. So now, similar to the night stretch, but he's gonna have this heel closer to this knee. He's gonna put both hands onto this knee and focus on driving that knee forward and maintaining that heel on the ground. So he's trying to increase the range of motion in his ankles and in these areas. We do a lot of flexion of the ankles, changing directions, at times rolling them when we don't want to. We really want to increase that range of motion. So in the game, if we do happen to roll it, it's not an injury that keeps us out for a long period of time. So he's increasing that range of motion, keep that heel down and drive it, but also strengthening those tendons around there so he's able to be more receptive, quicker, have better flexibility and agility. And lastly, he's gonna go into a deep squat. So as we did in the warm-up series, feet about shoulder width apart, right? All 3 points, big toe, little toe, and the heel drive down. He's gonna come in, hands just inside of the knees and try to keep his chest up as high as he can. We wanna go down as low as we can while still maintaining a good back angle, right? We don't want him rounding off. We want that chest still up nice and proud, and he has a good back angle. He's gonna hold that for 1 minute in there. Again, you're gonna feel this burning through the legs, through the hip flexors, but it's to increase our range of motion and strengthening from there. So anytime you see the mobility series listed, you're gonna go through these different activities for the time that is specified from there. All right? Thanks, guys.